Hey everyone, well it's that time of year. I'm really excited to make this video and to share with you my favorite releases from this year. I did a video earlier this year covering kind of about the first, I don't know, maybe third of the year. So now we will take a look at everything else that has been released since then. There's a lot of really incredible music and some of the best music I have ever heard yet came out this year, and I really want to share with you what my favorites are, and hopefully you will discover something that you will really like too. But maybe I'm reading off your favorites and you already know about all these. So anyways, let's get right into it. I'm really excited to share these with you, and I hope that you will find something to enjoy. I wanted to quickly say, last year I thought the music was just superb, and I didn't think it could get any better. And I think it will probably always have a very special place in our hearts because for many of us, the music was what kind of was like an accompaniment through a very strange and bizarre year and challenging year, and that music was, a special place. And it certainly was some of the greatest recordings possible, and I thought 2021 would be very hard to beat it. It might have, actually. There's some really cool releases, so let's take a look. So I want to start with music that makes me really, really happy, and music that just to even talk about on this video is something really proud when I can say in the context that this is music from friends of mine, and that's something really cool. It feels really great to say that, and I'm so excited and proud of and really grateful for my friends that are making great music like this, and I want to share it first and foremost. Before anything else in this video, I want to share the music of my friends. So first is a good friend of mine, Jesse Cox. He released a cassette. It's his debut recording, I'm pretty sure. And this came out pretty recently. I think last month it came out. And I had a chance to talk with him in New York a few weeks ago. It was really great to see him for the first time in a couple of years. We've done, we did a project together when we were both at Berkeley. A couple of years ago. I played violin on one of his pieces. He's a wonderful composer. He's one of my favorite composers. He's one of the very few people I know that's creating a new voice and a new musical language with the material that he uses, and I just absolutely love his work. And I also love his dedication and his inventiveness and creativity. He's just like, I don't know if he doesn't sleep or what, but he just has so much work, and it's all groundbreaking work. It's incredible. So I would suggest starting with this tape, or if you don't want to do a tape, you can get a download of it. And this one is called When You're a Star. It's really an incredible record, and it features the cymbal. And those of you that know me really well recall that I used to, when I lived out in Boston, was good friends with Matt Simolis, who would do cymbal baths. And so I really, really love bowed cymbal. And hearing Jesse take it in his own way was really spectacular and brought back a lot of memories of sitting in many cymbal baths. So I'm really happy to hear that recording. Starting off with that. Up next is someone that I had the pleasure to meet this year in the Czech Republic for the very first time. Artist Los. And this is an incredible brand new recording from her. And this is just a really, really nice recording. It covers a lot of topics, it covers a lot of themes, a lot of styles, moods. I think there's something on here for everybody. And this also just recently came out, I think last month. So you can get a CD or you can get a download and streaming. But I would highly suggest checking this out. It was, again, a pleasure. I got to chat with her and get to know her. It was really a nice pleasure to hear about her process of making this recording and some of the backstories to the songs. So I would recommend you and encourage you to check out this recording. It's called All I Ever Really Seem to Say. Check that out, and then also look her up online and get some of the backstories to these songs because they're very intriguing. Real quick, I want to actually remedy something that I missed from last year. I want to go back in time just real quick, since we're on the topic of Czech Republic. My heroes Druha Trava released a recording, and somehow, I guess with all the pandemic news and everything else, and also being released only in Czech Republic. This one didn't make it to my eyes and ears last year, but I got a hold of it this year. This is their newest recording, and it is absolutely phenomenal. To me, it's absolutely mind-blowing when you're a band that's been going on for 30 years. A lot of them, the stereotype kind of becomes they just start rehashing old material, and it becomes a little redundant and boring. Not with Drew Atrava. This sounds like a brand new band. It just is so amazing. The material is so great. The energy is higher than ever. I mean, and they're so seasoned too. I mean, they just sound so professional, so incredible, and there's nothing old or redundant or monotonous about it. It's all brand new, and it's really incredible music. So check them out. That's just an incredible record that I am sorry I missed last year. Two more from my friends. One is from Nate Shivers. He has a new recording out. It's a digital-only recording called Nowhere to Hide. And what I really love about this recording is, there's a million guitarists in the world, a million guitar records out there, and a good portion of them all sound the same, and it's kind of rehashed material. We've heard it before, okay. But with Nate, and it's another colleague of mine that I went to school with at Berkeley, he has a very unique language on the guitar, and you can hear that within this, listening to two tracks, and you instantly recognize his sound and his approach, and it's very uniquely him, and it does not sound like anybody else, and that is so refreshing to hear a guitar recording sound like a completely new voice. So I'm very thankful for his contribution to the giant list of guitar recordings, because finally it's something new and fresh, and it's extremely fresh. It's unlike any guitar music I've heard yet, and I really love this recording. I hope when the world reopens a little bit more, I hope that he will be performing a lot of this live, because I'd be very happy to see it. Lastly, in my friends category, I want to mention my friend, but also still my hero, Talum. He just finished up his year-long series on Astral Spirits recordings. There's tons of those. I don't know where to even begin. Well, I kind of do, because I'm going to mention one, but my suggestion is to just go and listen to all of those. They're all on Bandcamp. It was a subscription series. But one of them that got pressed onto CD, and one that stood out to me the most, is one that he did with Hafez Moderzadeh. I probably screwed that name up horribly. I apologize in advance. But this album, sometimes I'll go through these phases where I really, really, really want to hear microtonal music, or music at least that's not in 12-tone tuning. Something, in between. It might be just intonation, might be something else. But this album did just that for me. Finally, I was listening to regular music all year long, and then this one came out right at the moment that I said, man, I would love to hear something microtonal in that arena. And what happens, there's a piano tuner that's retuning Talum's piano. I think it said 8 different tunings. It's incredible. It takes the two of their music is already incredible. It's already amazing, and it takes it to just such a whole new world that I don't think would be possible without finding these new tunings. So that was an incredible album, and if you only check one out, which I advise checking them all out, but if you only check one, go right to that album. I'll put a picture up so you can see that, and definitely check that one out. All right, up next, it wouldn't be a year-end review, it wouldn't be hardly anything on Music with Matt if we didn't talk immediately about ECM Records, so I'll definitely be talking about them right now, actually. They had a whole bunch of releases this year, just like they did last year, and hopefully every year to come in the future. Too many to talk about. I'm not going to get into all of them, but I do want to look at 4 of them that I just could not pass up talking about. Now, the first one is what I will say, spoiler alert, if you want to just skip all the details in this video and go right to my top 5 or so picks. This one would be definitely the top 5 albums of the year. Matthias Eek with a record called When We Leave. This is just phenomenal. I don't think I need to say any more words about it, but I will mention why I love it so much. but just really, this is just absolutely stunning record. It's perfect in every way possible. There's going to be a theme you'll see throughout this video. Some of the records that I am picking for my favorites all have one specific instrument in it. That's my favorite instrument of all, the pedal steel guitar. I listened to the streaming of this before I got the CD, so before I could see the credits, and I listened to his record, his previous record before this, and I enjoyed it. You know, it wasn't entirely my favorite, but I listened to it and got familiar with it. And then when I heard this, I said, man, that sounds like a pedal steel guitar in there. And I listened to the next track. I said, no, that's not maybe a pedal steel. That's for sure a pedal steel. So then when I got the CD and saw it credited, I could not believe to hear this jazz, this style of jazz, this sound with a pedal steel guitar. It was like the perfect, you know, everything was perfect when that pedal steel guitar came in. So that's an incredible record. I absolutely suggest you go and get that. If you don't get any other record in this video, you need to go get that one and take a listen to it. Up next is Mark Johnson with a new album called Overpass. ECM has given us a ton of bass recordings, so many that, I mean, the form could easily be overdone at this point. But this album is actually a perfect addition to that huge catalog, in part to Johnson's beautiful, groovy, and well-constructed layers. This album might just be one person, but it's often far from being solo. I've heard rumors, I don't know, this might not be the case anymore, but I've heard ECM had a strict no overdub policy. But it seems that things might be changing. If you take a listen to the track Samurai Fly, that is absolutely my favorite track on there, and there's a lot more than just one bass line going on. It's really an amazing record. So check out Mark Johnson, Overpass. Up next is this album by Fred Thomas. It's called 3 or 1. This is absolutely phenomenal. This maybe could be considered the most beautiful recording of this year. If you can use lots of other labels for it, but beautiful would be certainly the first word that comes to mind. As it says here, organ, chorale, preludes, arias, and sinfonias from cantatas transcribed for trio and solo piano by Fred Thomas. So Fred did all the arranging and transcribing here, and there was something that really stuck out to me in the liner notes about this recording, which is that he chose, the other two musicians he chose to work with specialize in contemporary music. They're not necessarily Bach era specialists, they're contemporary specialists. So that was actually something that I heard suggested to me at one time, was to interpret that era of music through the lens of like avant-garde string players. So he did just that, and the record is absolutely beautiful, really stunning recording, and that's certainly on my best of list for sure. And then finally, I want to close the ECM section with an album by the Ayumi Tanaka Trio. I hope I said that correctly. And the title of this album is Subaqueous Silence. You know, ECM has released tons of records every year, tons of different styles, and I love almost all of them. But this record feels like a return to this so-called ambiguous ECM style or ECM sound. I really love the ECM sound, even though it's very hard to put in words. I love it, and I feel like this album, although I love many, many different styles on ECM, I feel like this album kind of is a return to that familiar kind of ECM sound that we all came to love. It's sparse in so many places on this record. There's just very little sound going on, then all of a sudden it just erupts into a massive improvisation right at the perfect moment. This is a label debut from this pianist, and I think it's just incredible. I hope we get many more from this group. Quite recommend this record, and I think it's the perfect soundtrack for the colder months too, so take a listen. Let me know if you agree. So it wouldn't be a regular Music with Matt video if we didn't go from ECM Records, one of my favorite labels, to another favorite label, Rounder Records. So let's take a look at what they had to offer this year. I want to quickly note that some of the artists from Rounder's catalog this year, as well as a few other artists in 2021, I noticed a trend, at least for myself, which was I enjoyed their second release. A lot of times it was the second album that came out this year. I enjoyed that tremendously more than the first album. Not to say that the first album was bad, it was just an observation that for my stylistic tastes, the second album really reached me a lot more. So it was just interesting observation, kind of a pattern I noticed this year. Starting with, for example, Billy Strings, an artist that has absolutely just completely cleaned house with the awards in any category from any agency or awarding body. He has won absolutely everything you could win, and he's really taken bluegrass fans just by storm, just really taken over the genre. And his first record was not an album that really resonated with me much. I mean, I gave it a few listens. I didn't hate it, didn't not like it, but it wasn't something that was like, wow, I gotta go tell everybody about it. This record, though, his second offering on Rounder, is something that I absolutely would go tell everybody to listen to, and I'm telling you right now. This is his album Renewal. I think it's just such a more he really put together a much more concrete, thought out recording. I think it has a very clear nod to traditional bluegrass. It has a very clear hard driving bluegrass approach to it, and it's also cutting edge at just the right moments, just the right times, with just the right amount of cutting edge stylistic approach to it as well. So this album is really just a perfect offering from Billy Strings, and it's up for a Grammy. It's up for probably a million awards, and if it would win a bunch of them, I would totally see why. It's very well worth it. Very early in the year, we got this album from, it's actually just 2 songs, actually, not an album, just 2 tracks from Sarah Jarosz, and this was for a Record Store Day event, and so it's a cool vinyl edition 45, but it's a nice design. Then on the back is, on the back is an etching of the front cover, so that's a really cool album. And that was a nice offering from Rounder Records. Shortly after that, we got a brand new artist to me and his Rounder debut, and this one was absolutely an incredible release. John R. Miller with an album titled Depreciated, and if let me pull this vinyl out carefully without dropping it. This is on a beautiful wood-grained marbled vinyl. It's a really beautiful vinyl. Like I said, the theme of this year, pedal steel. This album has pedal steel on it, and it's gorgeous. His songwriting is really good. There's some funny tunes on here, some really well-written tunes. Check this out. This is a really great recording of the year. Back to the idea or other theme of me saying I like the second album better than the first. This came out this year. If you remember, their first album cleaned house back when it came out in 2007, I believe, and it won every category possible almost at the Grammys, including Album of the Year. It was really highly praised. Everyone loved it. It was mainstream. It was, went totally crazy. And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest. It was kind of a bizarre combination for me. It didn't really feel like it connected. It was like a bunch of, they had some of the most amazing musicians in the world, but it didn't really seem to me to come together as a cohesive album. This one, on the other hand, is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. Every track on here is stellar. It's just absolutely golden. Everything on here is great. Now, considering how great it is, probably now it won't win all the awards at the Grammy, but it certainly should. This is by far a huge next step for both of these artists. I think this really proves how well that collaboration worked. Same producer again, T-Bone Burnett, and a little bit of a different band this time, including my hero, Bill Frisell on guitar on 2 tracks. And the sourcing for the songs is quite interesting. It ranges all over, but this is the Target bonus track edition with a beautiful cover of a Hank Williams tune, which starts with a pedal steel guitar. So this is really, this will be on my turntable and on my streaming for a long time. This is an incredible piece, and this came out on Rounder, so it's cool to see Allison back on Rounder after all that, after a couple albums of not being on Rounder. So very happy to see this. It's a great recording. Go check it out. All right, now that we went through ECM and Rounder, it's time to get into the wide open category, just any record that I really loved from this year. We're going to start out with one of my favorite artists of all time, Martha Wainwright. She's absolutely awesome. Every record she makes is really awesome, but this one that came out this year is just incredible. I would almost say perfect even. It's really incredible to listen to. You know, I really love her early works is how I first discovered her. So the album, for example, I Know You're Married But I Have Feelings Too, that was kind of my introductory point to Martha Wainwright, and that's what I really love the most. And like any good artist, her music evolved over time and changed from album to album. But this album, it's fresh and new, but it also seems to kind of have a nod towards her earlier sound and style. The singing, especially the vocals, seem to kind of match that kind of earlier style of hers. So I really love this, and this album, I gotta show you this vinyl. Look at how pretty that is. It's beautiful. I love it. So it's and it's pretty good pressing too, as far as the sound. So get this record, get the special edition if you like, but just listen to it. It's really great. Let's take a look. One more vinyl album I have here on my stand is definitely one of my top picks of the year. And this is also up for a Grammy, Bluegrass Grammy. And if I can give a little secret, I really hope personally that this will be my choice to win the Bluegrass Grammy category. I cannot overstate how much I have listened to this album's predecessors. Which would be Drive by Bela Fleck, and then Tales from the Acoustic Planet, Volume 2, the Bluegrass Sessions. Those records I have listened to more than any other music ever in my life, and I still listen to them. I haven't worn them out yet, and this is somewhat of a part 3 to that. This is a bittersweet record. It's super sweet because it's a bluegrass return of Bela Fleck and his old picking music partners, Sam Bush, Jerry Douglas, Edgar Meyer, Mark Schatz, the familiar names. And then he's got a slew of special guests on here like David Grisman and Billy Strings, and then all the artists that are listed here. There's a big long list of artists. But there's one missing, and that's the really bitter, sad part, which is my hero, Tony Rice, who really defined those first 2 albums. And as I'm listening to these tracks, I kept wondering, what would the composition process been like had Tony been involved? Would these pieces be different? Would they be the same? I'm just so curious. I have so many questions about what this record would have been like had Tony been on it. And even the name is a little bittersweet too. My Bluegrass Heart, it's a riff off of Chick Corea's album, My Spanish Heart. Chick Corea also, who passed away during very recently along with Tony Rice. So 2 of them that directly impacted this record aren't here anymore, but the musicians that are on this record that are very much here are really... they're breaking so much new ground, just like that band did with the first 2 records. So this is really a very dear and personal record for me, and one that I think will be, it's impossible to beat when you have this lineup. This is certainly one of the top records of 2021. So we go from one album that I think is top release of 2021 within the top 5, and another album that I think is in the top 5 for my personal taste is this incredible CD from Aaron Rodgers. It's called 2,000 Miles. I had the pleasure to see Aaron Rodgers play saxophone as part of a group in Boston a couple years ago at a concert that my friend Matt Simolis organized, and it was really great. I knew she was great then. I loved her music then, but hearing this album she skipped like you know, all the stages in between being like a great musician to being an absolutely phenomenal superstar. I mean, this is just incredible. This album is the best solo album from anyone I have ever heard ever in my life, period. Doesn't matter what style, what instrument. She plays solo saxophone on this, and it is by far the greatest solo saxophone record ever recorded. And it's, in my opinion, and my opinion only, you don't have to agree, I think it's the best solo album ever recorded. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I listened to this the moment it came out, just out of curiosity. I immediately bought it and listened to it nonstop while I was traveling in Poland. Then I got back to the US, listened to it some more, and said this is the best album of 2021, one of them. So that goes right with that one. Also on the same record label, Relative Pitch Records, is a new duet to me. I didn't know either of these artists, but it's really an incredible group. Violeta Garcia on cello and Chris Pitsiokos on alto saxophone and electronics. This is incredible. It is so much fun to listen to this album. I love it. It's really a great recording, and I discovered that Violeta Garcia also has some other music that she released this year, so definitely check her out. She's doing some incredible things in the European scene, so that's a great artist. Also, an amazing release this year. You know, just by the title, this is going to be an incredible record, Baroque Grass. So what could be better than combining Baroque music and bluegrass? What happens here is it's kind of Baroque style music played on bluegrass instruments by the Molina brothers, and I got this CD the very day it came out in person from the amazing banjo player and part of this group, Lubos Molina. This is great. I don't know how easily available this is in the US, but search this album out, listen to it. If you are a fan of either bluegrass or classical music, you will love this. I absolutely promise you, you will love it. Just a few last titles to go through before we wrap this up. 2021 gave us two expanded editions of records that had already been released. The first one came from last year. Mipso's self-titled album. That was on my top picks from last year. I loved it. This year they gave us 3 new tracks to it, so I get to love it all over again. Those 3 tracks are really nice addition. And then also, one of my favorite bands, as I surprised some of you with, Foster the People. It was their 10-year anniversary of Torches, so they released Torches X. I pre-ordered the vinyl of it and I thought, this hasn't arrived yet. I'm surprised, and I looked it up and it's now coming out in March next year, so it'll be a while. But the digital is out. They have a few new remixes, some new, bonus tracks that were hard to find previously. Now it's all in one complete package, so it's nice to revisit that 10 years later and revisit it kind of with a fresh approach. Yalt Blanc and Terry X. I love that duo. In our interview last year, Yalt mentioned that album would be coming out. It came out this year on cassette tape. I was really looking forward to it. The two of them together are like a unstoppable powerhouse. I mean, that's just absolutely, the music they make together has so much energy and fierceness and power to it. You gotta go hear it. So get that tape, listen to it, or the download. It's really good. And I think lastly, one of my favorite people in the world, Patricia Kopachinskaya, she has a new album out with a cellist, and it's called Soul and Pat. As her previous records have done, it's a whole bunch of composers, and they do samples of each of these composers. Sometimes they don't play the whole work, but they do at least some of it, and their interpretations and arrangements are as high energy as ever, so I love it. I'm so happy she gave us another album this year. Perfect addition to 2021 lineup. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I want to just quickly summarize. If you only want to see just this short summary of the video, that's fine. Here we go. My top 5 favorite albums of this year are Aaron Rodgers, 2,000 Miles, Bela Fleck, My Bluegrass Heart, Matthias Eek, When We Leave, Alison Krauss and Robert Plant, Raise the Roof, and then a tie. Couldn't decide, so I gave them both. Billy Strings, Renewal, and Molina Brothers, Baroque Grass. those 6 albums are, you can't get any better than that from my personal opinion and taste. I love each and every one of those, and those will be on my playlist for many, many years to come. And in the case of Bela Fleck's previous 2 records, and this one, he'll probably never leave. So please go check those out and let me know what your favorite releases were this year. Did I name some of yours? Did I miss some of your favorites? Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you're listening to, and tell me if there's any albums you've already heard about for 2022 that you're excited about. I heard a few rumors from ECM, and it's going to be a really great start to 2022 if those turn out. So you just have to come back and see. So thanks for watching. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining me this year. It means a lot. See you soon.